As you guys know, Genshin just dropped the newest 4.4 update, and after 10 billion years, we finally got it. Artifact sets. Well, kind of. You see, they're kinda... I'm appreciative that we got anything in the first place, but this system is not like anything I envisioned. I don't need filters to save any artifacts for me, or even more filters that will recommend what might be good. No. You see, I'm at the point where I have 50 plus characters, and I have multiple artifacts for some of them, but I have trouble keeping track of them. So at this point, I just throw them onto other characters for safekeeping. Like, look at my Albedo with several sets. I'm getting to the point where I'm running out of characters to use just as set holders for his Dookie artifacts. And I'm pretty sure that you guys can relate to this. We all just want a better system for organizing what we currently have. So, I am making my own artifact loadout system. Disclaimer, I am not actually making a loadout system only because I would probably have to work for Hoyo and have access to their code, stuff like that. Instead, I'm just putting some layouts together and with the power of editing, making it look like something that could make it into the game one day. I'm also not a coder, so some of these things may be unrealistic to add from a developer standpoint. Also, this is just a fun little project I want to share with you guys. And in no way is this meant to shade Hoyoverse. I know there's a bit of controversy right now within the community, so I just wanted to get that out there. With that out of the way, we should figure out what would make a successful system in the first place. Ideally, it should be easy to use and also match the current aesthetic of the game. I also think it'd be cool to compare the stats of an entire set like you could with individual artifacts. I test loadouts all the time, and it's tedious having to compare sets when they're on different characters. So it would be nice to just be able to do it at a glance. There's a few other things that I have in mind, and I'm sure that I'll think of a few more things once I'm actually in the process of making the layout. So now that we have an idea of what we want to put into the game, I'm ready to start putting it all together in Adobe XD, which is a program used to design the interface of apps and websites. If you wanted to do something like this, then I recommend using Figma instead, as XD has been essentially discontinued. Plus, there's a free version, so it's a plus all around. Going into this, I thought it was going to be a quick little thing, but I was wrong. I thought I wanted to go into a certain direction with the design, but then I didn't like it as much as I thought I did. And I didn't make anything crazy either. Also, I severely underestimated the time it would take me to transfer Genshin's assets into Adobe XD. And then I had to line them up, all of that. And when I got to making some of the later designs, I just didn't care anymore if it was shifted over by a few pixels. I'm not exactly sure how long this took, but I've been working on it for over the course of a week and a half now, and I can finally say that I'm done. So let me fill you in on what I made. So if you look over to the left side, you'll see that I decided to include a new option to reach the layout menu. That way it's easy to access instead of having to press a whole bunch of buttons in different sorts of menus. I don't mean to break the immersion, but just ignore the fact that the weapons menu is highlighted. I wanted to use some of the background animations without designing a whole new character animation, just to give you a visual of what something might look like. This is what I thought of that would make a successful artifact loadout system. I think most characters would benefit from having multiple sets, and I think having 5 would be a sweet spot for most, especially if we think about future-proofing, considering the amount of characters that will come out in the future. Ideally, you'd be able to edit both your weapons and artifacts from here, and the respective menus for either would pop up when doing so. I also included senior menu stuff like pop-ups, just to give you an idea of what would occur with some character overlap, etc. I didn't think about this when I was initially designing the system, but it would be helpful to access details about any active set bonuses. I'll be adding that here. Another thing that I didn't think about would be accessing the details of the actual artifacts themselves, and also what the menu would look like if you wanted to add more loadout sets. Again, I'll be going back and adding that here as well. And you know how I mentioned it would be cool to compare sets with one another? I included that here as well. The artifact menu is swapped to the left side, allowing for the comparison menu to stay in the same spot as the current in-game artifact comparison menu. I liked how Hoyo included red and green to denote the positive and negative changes within a selected set for the new artifact feature. So I added that here too. As for the values themselves, they are the values most relevant to the character themselves, with the elemental damage bonus changing on a character's respective typing. And I didn't forget to add a menu for the Abyss either. One thing that does currently bother me is that you have to change your weapons and artifacts before you enter, and you'll have to exit the menu if you forgot to do so. For example, I mentioned that my Albedo has several builds, and most of them are support specific to the Abyss, depending on his team comp, while in the overworld I have a set for his personal damage. I just wish that we can change what we needed to without having to exit the menu, so I threw in an accessible menu for the characters that you do decide to use in the Abyss. You'll notice that it's fairly similar to the design from earlier, although I did take inspiration from the team loadout menu when I was making this one, due to it having to be on a background. And it'll function essentially the same way too. You'll just select what you need to, and then you'll head into the Abyss. I also want to add a quality of life thing that isn't focusing on artifact sets, but the actual teams. You see, we're getting to the point where we have a bunch of characters, and while it might seem minor, it's kind of annoying to have to scroll to find the characters that you want to use for the Abyss, especially knowing that the favoriting system isn't really customizable and just kind of based off of whatever Genshin chose. So I think that adding a team loadout preset for the Abyss would also be nice, considering that realistically, many of us who do take on the Abyss are using the same characters anyways. I know that I've used the same 4 or so teams for the past 2 years, and my new Nervalette team is not leaving the rotation anytime soon either. I think it would be applicable to combat-based events too, based on what I mentioned earlier. Although I'm not really pressed enough for this one though, as these events typically encourage the use of unique teams and the use of buffs, both of which are typically more than enough to redeem the more desirable rewards. But it would be nice to have for those who want it. While I was making this, I kind of realized that trying to optimize the loadout menu kind of made the actual weapon and artifact menus kind of obsolete, which is why I think Hoyo has taken their time with developing any sort of menu in the first place. Why would we bother going to other menus when everything can be found in a single one? And if Hoyo did decide to go down this route of optimization, it would force players to adapt to something that they might not even like in the first place. This type of change wouldn't be like the removal of having to farm like 100 local specialties in order to obtain some battle pass points. It would be a change to a core feature in the game. So I think they're just trying to make something without disrupting what currently exists, but I only think that's a part of the reason why it's taken so long, aside from, giving developers time and the resources to make something like this. Just overall, it's a whole different things that I don't feel like getting into right now. I also just wanted to reiterate that I'm not trying to shade Hoyo. I do believe that some aspects of the new loadout feature will be useful for new players, and for those who don't care about min-maxing the game. But for the most of us who have been playing for a long time now, an artifact system of any sort is long overdue to try to organize what we do have. But overall, I thought this was just a fun project to share with you guys of what I thought would be a good addition to the game. And hopefully, sooner rather than later, we do eventually get one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, or just silly, goofy things in general. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one.